In the back there, you, sir.
Of all the different mediums that you've used for entertainment, which one do you prefer the most?
Which medium do I prefer the most? Well, I prefer always the medium of a live audience. Every actor does, because particularly if he's an egotist. I love the reaction of audiences. I love coming to conventions, and because I can talk to you and communicate with you. And I like to amuse people, or attempt to do so. And therefore, in the theatre, if you're playing in a light comedy, some lovely play like Girl in My Suit, which you may have seen the movie on, the great joy of working with that audience was that every night in the theatre, an audience reaction is different. So you can never sit back and relax when you're working in comedy on the stage, because it's different every single night. You never know what kind of reaction you're going to get, so it's much more of a fight. Film business, television business is very technical. Cabaret, which I do a lot, is absolute abject hell. Because you never know what that audience is going to be like at all. You don't even know whether they want to see you. They've come to that place because it's their favourite restaurant or their favourite nightclub. They've come with their wife or somebody else's wife. Frequently. They don't want interruption. They're only there because they've only got an hour and a half or 2 hours to spend with them. So that you're an interruption, you're an intrusion, and they go, oh no, oh dear me, we've got to have him again. And sometimes in badly run places they tell you that they don't want you to be there. And this can be very boring and very difficult. That is why I no longer work cabaret in my own country, because the audiences are so ill-mannered. But I work cabaret in Australia, where they're marvellous, in South Africa, and Kenya, and places like that, where people travel miles to come and see you. They have dinner, and they sit and they watch a show, and they're a great, great audience. And that is the greatest joy of all, is to have a really good cabaret audience, because you're on your own and you're working by yourself, and you live and die by what you do and provide them with. That's a great challenge.
Do you have any plans for the near future? Any films or things like that?
No, my plans for the future, as I was explaining yesterday, I'm working very hard on an endeavour to get Wurzel Gummidge reproduced. At the moment, an Irish producer has got the rights again. He had them last year, but unfortunately, 5 days before we were due in the studio, the whole show was cancelled. We were due to shoot 2 years of programs, which was a very great disappointment to me, because I planned 2 years that I'd be working in Wurzel through the summer, and then doing Wurzel on stage, which I do, which is enormously successful, like pantomime is at Christmas. I do Wurzel on the stage. But of course, I only do that when Wurzel is showing on television. Now it's been bought by Channel 4, our new channel, our new television station, which is getting better and better and better. And they bought it, and we're going to show it for the next 3 years. We're going to be showing programs a year for 3 years, which will stir up all the interest all over again, I hope. And I sincerely hope that this particular Irish producer does not get the rights. He's got 2 more months to go, and if he doesn't get them, we have a new company we're forming, which has the promise of American money. And if it does, well, then it will be a co-production between my company and an American company. And I hope that it will be shown in the United States of America, and I hope that it will be shown here. You are not an easy country to sell television programs to, as you probably know.
Well, do some pushing with the TVL, I hope.
Well, I don't particularly want to sell to PBS or the equivalent, because I appreciate that you prefer it, because you can see a program without interruption and without commercials. But from my point of view, or from an actor's point of view, it is not at all rewarding financially. And to give you an example, when I heard that Doctor Who had been bought in 1972 in the United States, I rushed back home and said to Ingeborg, fantastic, we can retire. Where do you want to go? And so she said, why, what's happened? I said, we've sold Doctor Who to the United States. And she said, my God, that's good, isn't it? I said, sure it is, because you get 140% of your basic fee every show that's shown. So whatever your basic fee is, you get 140% for each one show. And as I worked for nearly, whatever it was, nearly 5 years, we did a quick sum. It was before the days of calculators. We did a quick sum, and I said, that'll be enough, probably invested, where we can lay back on that one. And then somebody came and rang me up and said, I've got some other bad news. We're not going network, of course, we're going PBS. And I said, oh, well, that's make much difference. What's the difference? And they said, oh, the difference is in the remuneration that you get. And I said, oh, what do you get on PBS? They said, well, at this time, 1/4%. And that is what one gets from PBS in the United States of America, is 1/4% of your basic fee, which you can see is not anything to get very excited about. And the reason why we come is because of the enthusiasm of you in North America and the enthusiasm of the United States and the fans in the United States. And we love coming to conventions, and really this is the joy of it. It's setting up what we are nothing from it.
Thank you very much. I believe you have more from the audience who has a question.
Yes, there's a young chap there with glasses, yes.
Oh.
Stand up. Are you a young lady or a young girl? A young boy? Okay.
You're mainly known as the doctor. Do you ever find that insulting, like if you're just walking down and you're just working like Warzone or whatever, and they'll say there's the doctor or something?
No, there's nothing more flattering than recognition. It's marvelous. I love it, and because I find it extraordinary. If you were a pop star or something, the attitude of fans towards the people that they are fond of or they appreciate is completely different. The fandom of my kind of actor, of a character actor, is really fandom for the show, and if anybody connected with it is made very welcome. You have a tremendous amount of love and affection in you as fans, and this is what makes it so joyful for us to come and visit you. And you are always so incredibly polite, particularly here in North America. Your politeness is overwhelming, and your courtesy. So the answer is no. It's lovely being recognised, and when people are charming. It isn't nice being recognised when people are rude and demanding. Yes, sir.
Are the programs filmed in one big chunk, or are they filmed episode by episode?
No, they used to be filmed one at a time, one a week. And then I told a story yesterday that the men putting the sets down used to rip them down so quickly so they could get home and draw all the money for working all night. They used to smash them to bits. And so rather than give them a sort of 50-50 chance of them not being so badly smashed, we would rehearse 2 shows and record 2 back-to-back. So we do 3 lots of recordings for a 6-parter or 2 lots for a 4-parter. Yes, at the back there, sir.
Yeah, when you first got out of Doctor Who, did you find it affected getting roles in other programs?
No, I'm far too long in the tooth to be cast, typecast is what you mean.
Yes.
I've been in show business for so long, and I'm known in my own country by so many people that they don't deliberately only think of me in that one role. You know, Mum and Dad will say, oh, blimey, I remember him in the Navy Dock, or I remember him in Up the Pole, or I remember him in Music Hall, or whatever, all those early movies. What does happen is that the people that are typecast, would you mind if you put that hat down? I'm so sorry, it just keeps catching my attention. I'm just putting your hand up. What does happen is that if a man is new and joins into a television show that's a big success, and he's never been heard of before, the public get to know him, and they know him as that man who plays in Z-Cars, or whatever the show is that runs and runs and runs. And then he says, oh, I've been in this too long. I mean, I'm a big name now, and I'm going out. Now, this is the time. This is where you've got to be careful, because I can tell you of 25 people that I know, tip-top actors and stars of television series, that went right flat on their backsides when they went out of it. Desperately unfair, I know, but that's the way it was, because the directors say, oh no, we can't use him, everybody knows he's in Z-Cars. And he said, no, but I'm not in Z-Cars, I've left it, I want to do something else. And they say, yeah, well, not just at the minute, we don't want to cast you. Now, I've been in show business for so long that this didn't really happen. Luckily, when I left Doctor Who, I went into a show, which was a crime quiz show, a very original crime quiz show called Who Done It. And now remarkably, it was called Who Done It. And so all the kids and the young fans in England thought it was Doctor Who Done It. So I didn't lose any fans over that show. They all came tuning in, and the figures were very good. And did you ever see it over here? Was it ever shown? It was a very good idea. You ought to try and do it. So the idea is you get a panel of all celebrities, and then you get a film showing those celebrities of a crime, of a murder or a robbery or something. And in that bit of film which you see, it's an 8-minute extract of film, there are half a dozen obvious clues. Obvious to me because I know the answers. But they are fairly obvious. And the panelists have to watch that film and watch it very carefully. Then all the people who participated in the film, the actors, were then brought in and sat down in a courtroom. And I was the judge, as it were. And then the panelists cross-examined all the actors that had been in it, and asked them where they were at a given time and why they said this, that, and the other. They made notes. And the only person allowed to lie was the man who committed the crime. And it was an immensely popular show. We sold to the United States, and it's called Who Done It? And I did that for 4 years before I was asked to do Wurzel Gummidge, where, if you've never seen what I look like as Wurzel Gummidge, you wouldn't have a lot of worry about being typecast. Because you don't see very much of my face. You've got a big carrot for a nose, and I've got roots here, and I've got a straw head, straw head and filthy old clothes and so on. So then this year I was the official greeter at the International Garden Festival in Liverpool, which meant that I had to, very appropriate, being a scarecrow. And it was the biggest garden festival of all ever in the world. It was the biggest they'd ever had. And they bulldozed a vast area of slum where my friend Paul McCartney, he used to go down and play in this area, and he used to call it the Cassie, which was the cast down, the playground. It was the Cassie playground. And I'll go down to Cassie and I don't who's there. And that's where he and Ringo and John all used to go and play down in the Cassie. And they bulldozed it and they turfed it and they made it into a beautiful garden. And I was the official greeter. My madam did the Queen, and I had to take my hat off and say, "How do you do, Your Majesty? Very nice. You can come and see me garden. How do you do?" And shake a twig. And Her Majesty the Queen said, "Oh, Mr. Gummidge," and she was very, very fine. And she took my hand and said, "Yeah, you will pardon me twigs, madam, won't you?" And we made jokes, And she didn't mind at all, it's fine. And a little later on, we had a gentleman, they said, "Quick, come at once, because the mayor of Tokyo, Mr. Suzuki, is coming to be taken around the garden festival." Now, I couldn't walk this vast distance every day, so I used 2 motorbikes. One a little ATC, you know what they are, 3-wheeler Hondas, and another a 4-wheel Suzuki. And so I came roaring round, and this filthy old scarecrow, I had to do revolting. And there's the mayor of Tokyo with all his entourage, and with him is the Emperor of Japan's grandson. And so I get off, leap off my bike, and I say, "How do you do, Your Holiness?" I always upgrade them. Anybody doesn't want to say Your Holiness, Your Eminence, or something. "How do you do, Your Holiness?" And he went, wow. And bowed, and then he turned to his companion and he said, and so he said, Mr. Suzuki, of this Gummidge son. I mean, that's enough to corpse anybody. I mean, filthy old scarecrow with, bird droppings all over his clothes, called him Gummidge son. I mean, it was ridiculous. So I fell on the floor, I know, 5 minutes ago. And so I fell on the floor, but I said to him, I'd like you to notice that I'm riding one of your motorbikes. Funny joke, you see, because his name was Suzuki and I was riding a Suzuki motorbike. I said, "Oh, very nice. Very good motorbike." And I said, "Yes, very good indeed. You're the maker." And the man alongside me said, "That's right, this Mr. Suzuki. He's the head of Suzuki in Water." Oh my God, I'm getting deep in here. And so there was a very tall Japanese gentleman. He must have been about 6 foot. And when the party had moved on, he came over to me and he said, "Oh, Mr. Pertwee, my name is Honda." I said, "Don't you worry, my dear, I'm not one of your machines tomorrow." I did. Yeah, we've got time for a couple more questions. Yes, sir, you were the deal.
Yes, one of the things you're best known for is dialects. Did you actually study them at the Royal Academy, or did you just develop the skill?
No, my father, who was an actor before me, and a writer, and a playwright, and everything else, he had an ear for dialect. I have an ear for dialect. I don't have to think of what I'm doing. Once I know what dialect I'm going into, I go into it. I go straight into it. I don't have to worry about how each word's done. Like, other actors have to know they're talking Yorkshire like that, they have to learn how the words go. I don't worry about that. I go straight into it. Or if it's Scotch, you say, "You're going to pass on you. I'm getting used to it." So it's a question of, what are these notes? You said 5 minutes only, now you say 33 minutes only. Is that 3 minutes only or 33 minutes?
It doesn't work. So 33 minutes.
I've got 33 minutes.
Yes,
Oh, that's
I
more
was
like
talking
it.
at 4.
Yeah, that's great. Fine.